Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to live stream session with Team Axiom. Today's agenda is unique and nice to explore about React Native cross-platform app, mobile app development. With Team Axiom, we'll be exploring what is React Native, why it is important to explore. At the same time, team will demonstrate you how to migrate from React Web to React mobile version app development, what kind of technical upskilling you need to do at the same time, how the entire process of app development works, that they're going to demonstrate. And this is an agenda for today's live stream. Let me give you the details why we what is exactly React Native and why we need that upskilling to React Native app development. As we know, or first of all, we need to understand why cross-platform app development matters. How to build a real mobile app using React Native. Now, first of all, cross-platform app development means we have we have to build two apps. One is Android based and second is iOS based. Now for the Mac users or uh, the iOS users, right? The separate apps need to be built. Earlier, before cross-platform app development for iOS, the, the smartphones like iPhone, where only apps built on iOS will work. So before uh, cross-platform app development, iOS apps will be built by using Swift, Objective-C, will be using Xcode, will be reading a app store to store that all the apps, right? And means these are the technical stack will be required. That all the apps will be published on the app store, and one code base means separate code base is required for the iOS developments, and that all the apps will be run on that platform only, right? Means a separate team which is having expertise in the Swift, Objective-C, Xcode, that is required to build the app required to the iOS. One code base, one platform. And in the similar manner, if you are a native developer of Android, right, then earlier we will be developing a backend of Android required like through Java. Now it is updated to the Kotlin. So will be required Android Studio we need to publish it into the Play Store, Google Play Store. These expertise required, and it requires another code base. Means that code base another team developed for iOS user will not be applicable, that entire code, or it's a complete different development, different code base required for the Android. We cannot reuse the code which you use in Android and to iOS, and iOS and Android, iOS to Android. So it means two different teams, native development teams, need to be worked on to develop and produce different app versions, and the features and the functionalities of the app is the same. Hope you understand the problem. Means for one client, for one investor, if you want to develop two app versions, one is for the Android users and one is for the iOS users, then he have to hire the two teams, two native teams will be developing the Android app as well as the iOS app. Right? Now, two completely separate code bases will double the cost, double the time, and double the team even. Right? And here comes a role of a React Native then. React Native is a framework that lets you build mobile apps using JavaScript and React. If you are a web developer of a React, you already were aware about that React is an enhanced version of JavaScript. So the web developers of JavaScript and React can migrate themselves to the cross-platform app development using React Native. The same skills you already have in the web can write once and deploy it to both iOS and Android. Means React Native, through React Native you can produce, if you can upskill yourself for the React Native, you already have a skill sets for the React Web, you can able to produce two apps which will be working on iOS as well and the Android as well. Hope you are understanding, hope you are getting the advantage of React Native. Cross-platform app development is a key. Instead of hiring the two separate native development team, one team which justifying React Native can able to develop cross-platform app which works on the iOS and Android as well. This is the advantage. It's not only the React Native. Though today's agenda is to explore React Native, but if you are an Angular developer, then there is a Ionic platform is available by which you can able to develop the cross-platform app development like React Native. If you want to go another platform, then there is a Flutter that also used for producing cross-platform app development. These three platforms, React Native, Flutter, and Ionic, are used for cross-platform app development. But why React Native become more popular for you and more developer friendly for you? Because you already developed you upskill yourself for producing web versions of using React. And if you can able to, you can easily able to, because the code base will be the similar, the functionality will be similar. I will be explaining you some of the technical updates you need to do for the app development, right? And then you can become a React native app developer. Hope you are getting my point. How, why we need to migrate from native app development to React native app development. The point number one, it produces cross-platform app development. From the investor point of view, you don't have to hire two teams, double the time, double the cost, right? And you are well aware about that. Like iPhone, there are, like iOS, there are similar kind of is like in some regions, iPhone is the only popular. But at the same time, if you are thinking about the worldwide, there is a percentile of usage of Android users also more. And if you are performing e-commerce, if you are for any sort of app development, right now your mobile app will, because you can, the what is the advantage you will get in a mobile, you can carry this device anywhere else, only network is required. You can able to stay connected and you can able to perform all the type of operations to that mobile only. It's a thin client, but you can carry everywhere, anywhere else, work from anywhere else, and do all the entire operations. That is the advantage. And because of that reason, if you have a cross-platform app development using React Native, you can able to produce apps for iOS as well as Android users, right? And this is what advantage. So after understanding this, why React Native cross-platform app development is important, let us understand the key facts about the React Native. React Native is built by Meta. Earlier it was Facebook. You're popularly aware about the social media application. So it was built in 2015. I'm talking about the React Native. It powers apps like Instagram, Facebook, Shopify, Discord, Walmart, and Uber Eats. It all is developed through React Native only. It uses native components, not web views. Means like React Native, the advantage is it's native. Native means the local systems, components it will be using. It uses native components. A view becomes UI view. This is what the technical changes. Like you're already aware about, if you are a React user, you're aware about the view. So it becomes UI view, iOS, Android view on Android sort of. View becomes UI view in iOS and Android view in Android. The code reuse 70 to 90% of code base shared between platforms. Earlier in the native app development, 0% of code will be reused. The Android native app development code or that code base will not be used in the iOS and vice versa. But here in this case, if you are a React Native developer, one developer or rather the one team can able to produce both the apps, iOS and Android. And at the same time, 70 to 90% of code base can be shared between platforms. That is what the more advantage, right? So investor point of view, you have to hire only one team, right? When the objectives and the application is the same, why there is two teams need to be hired? So the cost wise, time wise, it is more feasible, more efficient to have a React Native app development, right? So if you understand these all the objectives of React Native, what and why we required it. I'm just handing over this session to Team Axiom. They'll further deep dive in details about the React Native app development, and we can upskill ourselves to the mobile app development so that we can so bear by producing iOS and Android apps in the upcoming projects. So I'll be now the forum is open for Axiom team. Let's let them explain us, let them elaborate elaborate us how the React Native app development is important and how they are going to achieve that all the objectives of cross-platform app development using React Native. Over to Team Axiom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, for your brief introduction regarding to the topic. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live session. Today, I will introduce you to React Native, one of the most widely used framework for building a cross-platform mobile applications. Before we begin to the live demonstration, we will first understand what React Native is, why it has been become so popular, how to set up the development environment, and the core component used to build a mobile application. Once we finish this concept, my teammate will continue live demonstration where he will see the everything working in a real project. Let's begin with the most basic questions. What exactly is the React Native? React Native is an open source framework developed by Meta, formerly Facebook, that allow developers to build a mobile application for both Android and iOS using a JavaScript and React. Traditionally, if we wanted to build an application for Android and iOS, we had to maintain a separate code bases. Java for Kotlin and Android and Shift, or Objective-C for iOS. React Native solves this problem by allowing us to write a most of our applications logic once and use to across the both platforms. One of its biggest advantages is single JavaScript code bases, which significantly reduce development effort. React Native renders native UI component so user experience application that look and feel like native apps. It supports cross-platform development, meaning developers do not have duplicate businesses logic for different operating systems. Another major productivity feature is hot reload and fast refresh, allowing the developer to instantly view changes without rebuilding the application. Finally, React Native has a massive open source ecosystem with thousands of reusable libraries and strong community support. Now let's understand why developers love it. Developers appreciate React Native because it enables a faster development, encourage reusable components, provide access to native device features such as GPS, camera notifications, and biometrics, and backed by one of the largest developers communities in the world. Now that we understand what React Native is, let's look at the why so many companies are choosing it for their mobile application. There are three major reasons why organizations choose React Native. Faster development. The first reason is development speed. Instead of maintaining separate Android and iOS teams, developers can work from the single code base. This means new features can be delivered much faster. And hot reload. Allow developers to test changes and almost instantly. Lower development cost. The second reason is cost. Since most of the application logic is shared between the Android and iOS, companies require fewer development resources. These resources development cost, maintenance effort, and testing time. Better users experience. This is the third advantage is user experience. React Native provide native UI components and support hardware features like camera, GPS, notification, and biometric authentications. As a result, users enjoy an experience that feels very close to fully native applications. Next, real world adaptation. This is why companies like Facebook, Instagram, Shopify, Microsoft Decode, and many others use React Native for various part of their mobile application. Now let's compare React Native with traditional native development. Before React Native became popular, developers had built two completely separate applications. One application was developed by Android and another developed by iOS. This required different programming languages, different development teams, and separate maintenance. As you s- as you can see, development requires a separate code bases. React Native uses a single shared code basis. Development becomes a faster. Maintain become much easier. Overall project cost efficiently reduced. While native development still offers the highest level of platform-specific customization, React Native provides excellent performance for a majority of business applications. This is why React Native follows the philosophy: build once, build once, deploy everywhere. Once that we understood the business's value, let's see what we need to start developing React Native applications. Before writing any code, we will need to prepare the development environment. Required tools are: first we need to Node.js, which is provide the JavaScript runtime. Next, we will use a Visual Studio Code as our development editor. Android Studio is required for Android emulator and SDKs on Mac OS. Xcode is need for iOS development. Finally, Git and npm or yarn help manage project dependencies and versions control. Development options: React Native offers two popular development approaches. Expo is ideal for beginners. It offers quick project setup without requiring a complex native configurations. It, it is excellent for learning, rapid prototyping, and MVP development. Next, React Native CLI. React Native CLI provide complete access to native Android and iOS functionality. It is the preferred choice for enterprises level application that require native modules and advanced customization. Now that we know both options, let's compare them directly. These comparisons helps developers decide which workflow best fits their project. Expo. Expo focus on the simplicity. It allows developers to build application quickly with minimal setup. It is a perfect for learning React Native, internal businesses application, and prototyping development. React Native CLI. React Native CLI offers a completely flexibility. It allows integration with custom native SDKs, banking applications, healthcare system, IoT devices, and enterprises grade solution. My recommendation is simple. If we just being your reactive native journey, start with Expo. As your applications become a larger and require advanced native functionalities, you can transition to React Native CLI. Now let's understand the building blocks used inside every React Native application. Every React Native application is built using a small set of reusable components. If you if you are already familiar with the web development, we will notice several similarities. This HTML div becomes a view, paragraphs become a text, images become an image, buttons are commonly implemented using a perishable and from used to text input. Lists are displayed using flat list, which is optimized for performance. Styling. Styling is a React Native uses the styling sheet API. Layouts are similarly built in using Flexbox. Developers can create a responsive interface that automatically adapt to the different screen sizes. Themes and platform specific stylings can also applied when necessary. Best part is it always recommended to build a reusable component, organize code properly, and keep UI clean and responsive. Finally, before moving to into the live demonstration, let us discuss some best practices and common challenges. As the project grow, Writing clean and maintainable code becomes extremely important. Best practices: organize your project by features, keep components reusable, separate business logic for the user interface, use environment variable for configurations, performance. Use a flat list when displaying a large dataset, optimize images, avoid unnecessary rendering, lazy load screens whenever possible. Challenges: every technology has its challenges. React Native developers often face native module compatibility issues, screen sizes differences, performance optimization, and platform specific behavior. React Native provide excellent tool and best practices to overcome these challenges. So far, we will understood what React Native is, why organizations prefer it, and how to set up the development environment, and the core concept required to build a modern mobile applications. However, the best way to understand any technologies is seeing it in action. To summarize today's discussions, React Native enables the developers to build Android iOS application using single code bases. It reduces development time and overall a project cost while delivering a native-like user experience. Its strong community, rich ecosystem, and continuous improvements made it one of build a framework for a cross-platform mobile development. Whether we are building a startup, MVP, or an enterprise application, React Native provide a powerful and scalable solution. With that, we will convert the theoretical foundation of React Native. Now it's time to move to the concept of implementation. I will hand over the session to my teammate who will be demonstrate how this concept comes together in the real world React Native application. During this live demo, you will see the project setup, application structure, API integration, UI development, and how React Native enable to build across a platform. Over to my teammate.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another live session back in Axiom. Now I'm sharing my screen to you. First of all, I would like to thank my teammate. I hope my screen is visible to you all. So we are having the VS Code right now. So we'll just open some installation area. Right. So this was the Node.js which is open in my screen. So before explaining this requirement, I'll just want to say something about uh, what we are going to do. Yeah, as my teammate already explained the overview through the presentation. It has helped us understand the concept, architecture, and the business value of the React Native. Now it's time to move from theory to practice. And today, all of you are not just viewers. Today you are joining Team Axiom as a software developer. So you are not simply watching this presentation right now, but this is the becoming a part of real development team. So from this point onward, we will work exactly the way professional developers do inside a software, like software company. So we will install some development environment, understand the project structure, compare Expo and React Native client my explained by my teammate, and will create a real application, will solve errors in their occurs, and gradually build a production ready model application as a demo format. By the end of the today's session, we'll have some foundation of our Axiom employee directory attendance app, and you will understand how React knowledge can be used to build Android and iOS application from a single code base. So let's get started. For the first phase, we have to prepare for the development environment. Now, before writing the first line of code, every software project needs a proper development environment. and today we will install everything required exactly for the development of Android and the professional React Native developer. So first of all, we need Node.js, which is the React Native application are written in JavaScript, and to execute JavaScript outside the browser, we need a Node.js. So this is the URL area. You can see that this is the download page we have, and we have the download Node.js. We are seeing the versions of Node.js for the Windows and the Docker and the npm for the using, and we have some commands to install this. Also, we have the installer .msi link and the .zip file, and this is also gives an npm which help install all required packages. Let's verify installation. This is from, you can install the Node.js, and I'll just open my node. I'll just verify, as I already installed my Node.js. So I'll just click Node v, and here we have, I'm having the version of 22.17.0 version already installed in my system. If you want, you can install from this website. It is nodejs.org and download section, and this is necessary for the installation and the creating of React Native app. And here we can have the version. Now then we'll switch the second part, which we need is git installation for making all the repositories, and every software company uses git as a to get help us like track the changes, collaborate with teams, maintain version history, and the push project to the GitHub. And it's also required for the storing the all the data and code base for the system, and it helps for the big software companies. So again, we'll check whether the git is installed or not at our system. As I am already installed this, so I'll just put the git hyphen version, and here git version 2.45.2.windows.1 is installed in my system. So it is now installed and ready to work. So this is the second requirement which we need. Then we'll move forward to Visual VS Code, which is the Visual Studio Code. Where we will be the primary development environment. It provides us to uh, develop the code editor, terminal debugging, Git integration, and extension, all the things. So we need this VS Code. And for that, we can download this from the Play Store of App Store of Microsoft, or otherwise we can just go to the browser, and in the browser section we'll have this link code.visual studio, and we can just hit button on the download, and we will have this VS Code in our Windows system. So this was the third requirement which we need, and then we'll move forward. And for the VS Code extension, what we required for the VS Code also, we need some extension which is like we need ES7 React snippet. We need from here only we can install the extension for the React Native applications. We need ESLint, we need prettier, we need error lanes, git lanes, material icons, themes. So these are the extension you can download from this section. So this was the primary features and primary requirements which we need for the React Native. And then the final thing, since we are developing Android application, so we need Android Studio basically. So for that we need Android Studio install in our system. So for that also we'll just go back to the website in the Chrome browser, where we have the developer section for the Android Studio. And for the Android Studio, it provides the Android SDK, emulator, build tools, device manager, everything, and you can download from this download button, download Android Studio Quill 1. And after downloading, you can just we'll have the extensions follow, like uh, this type of files, and you have to just double click on these sections, and it will give a complete process for the installation of Android Studio. You have to just go with this everything, and for that you need some configurations also. You have to this was the first page for the Android Studio. I'll just make it more visible. Oh, message is visible, right? So this was the Android Studio which we have, and now for that we have some interface of Android Studio where we have the project, customize, plugins, learn. In the left side bottom we have the settings, to checking the updates and edit custom properties. In the center section we have the welcome to Android section, and where we can create the new project, open and close repository. Just below to this cards we have the more actions. We'll just click on the more action, and we have some menus like import an Android code sample, profile or debug APK. Then we have the virtual device manager and the SDK manager. So as per our requirement, we need the SDK manager. So we'll just click on the SDK manager, and we'll have some interface open, which is the major part of development section for the Android Studio. Now in the Android Studio of device manager, we'll have some menus like appearances, behavior, key map, editor, plugins, build, executions, deployment. Then we have the languages, frameworks, specifically the Android SDK, and another the Kotlin also we have available as a development scripting language. Of Kotlin is the trending part for the development. As of now we are going with the Android SDK, which is for the React Native and the cross platform, which we are using for the development of web application and the Android application for the Android and iOS both. Then we have the device manager here. In this section I'll just give like the brief, and you can see the Android SDK location, which is the um, major part will required for this adding the variables in our system. This all the things which we need for the first installation and setup for the Android. So we'll just copy this link. We can use it for the setting the system variable in our system or your development system. Then we have the Pixel emulator. We have the SDK tools, SDK update sites, SDK platforms. As of now, we'll check with the SDK tools, and for the SDK tool, we need to install this all the required SDKs for the emulator, and this is the required thing for the Android SDK build tools, NDK, Android SDK command line tools, which is less latest. Then we need Android emulator hypervision driver, and this will be activate once when we have the virtualization on on in your system. Then only it will work. So for checking this thing, you have to go to the taskbar of your Windows. And just click shortcut key, command, and we'll just open the taskbar. After the taskbar we have to open this CPU section, and my task manager is open right now here. These are all the processes and performance we have. We'll just go to the performance sections, and after the performance we'll have the CPU section. Here you can see the virtualization is disabled, but for the similar emulator of SDK we need this active, and it will be activate once from the BIOS section only. Now we'll go to the start simulator and explain about the emulator acts as Android phone. So we'll just close this tab and we'll get back to the Android Studio. Okay, so this was the requirement as we discussed, and now we'll back to the requirement and emulator. We have to start the emulator and we'll check with this Android emulator again. This was the requirement which we discussed, and as my teammate already discussed about the Expo and React Native clients, so I'll just give a common question to discuss: which should I choose for the Expo or React Native clients? So let's understand both. Expo, so I will get back to my VS Code section. These were the app which is available. I'll just close these things. Okay, these all the things which we required for the installation prior for the React Native, which we explained. You just have to go on the browser and type for the requirement. And one thing we miss, we need this installation again. So we'll just click on the latest releases. And it is easy to set up and faster development. So for this is the basic requirement for the installation we need. And after the loading the latest release, we can have the this release section, and from here we have the link of the download on Windows for the Turmeric JDK. We need a JDK for using this framework and React Native to visualize this thing. So this link is started here. It will redirect directly starts to download as a .msi file, and we have to install this all the things. Now I'll just close this all the browser sections. This all 5 things we need for the installation of these things. Now I'll go back to the my VS Code where we have um, 2 projects, which is Axiom Employee Expo. Here I have used the Expo. So first, Expo is designed for the developers who want to get started quickly. Now this is for the beginners thing, and we have the some advantages. You can see the my folder structure. I'll just make it bigger, and in the folder section we have the .cloud, .expo folder, .vs code. Then we have the app folder where we have the tabs folder with the layout.tsx explore, and then also we have the asset section where we can save our Android applications and images. Right. Then we have the component section is the major thing which we require for the entire Monstack or React Native, React View, all the family of Node.js. We need these components because every component has their individual work, and it can be used anywhere by just calling these functions. So component is required for this, and this is the UI section. Then we have the constants. Constant means the background theme which we require for the every installation and the app. Then we have the hooks. We use the use color scheme, the use color schema for the WebTS, and the themes also these hooks which we require, and the rest of these files which is created by the command. And then we'll back to the advantages of Expo. It is easy to set up, faster development. Expo, we need an Expo Go app in your Android's mobile phone, which is help to start view your application, and it is great for the beginners. So I'll just go to terminal. I will give the command again just for your information to how to create the latest Expo app by using by using React Native Expo. So I have opened my new terminal. It's taking time to load as this is the Android Studio we have installed. So for these things you need a better configuration of your system. That's then only you can use your Android Studio and the development base side by side. So it is loaded. Now we'll enter the command which is like npx create expo app at the latest. This is the command for creating the expo latest React Native app, and this was the folder name. We'll just say the demo, click on the this command, and it will start to installation of all the dependencies which we required for the React Native. While installing, it will ask some suggestions for the versions, and basically, I want to explain about the latest version of React Expo for the native. It is 37, but it is not compatible with the mobile app for the Expo app, which is for the showing or displaying your beginner status of application. Like you can see this select and expo SDK versions. So these versions recommended for the most projects like SDK 57. But for the learning with the Expo Go is the app which is available in the Android and iOS for the both the devices, and where we can see the output of our application. So for this we need a SDK 54 version only because they are not updated till 8. So for we have to check select with this compatible version of Xpogo, and which is available on the Play Store and the App Store, and other SDKs is also available for the versions. But for the recommendation of as a beginner, you can go with the SDK 54, which is the compatible for your execution, learning, and creating the app. But latest one is the 57, so we'll go with the 54. Now it started to creating Axiom demo using the default templates, and these are the templates commands which is installing, and it will take some time to install. Till now we'll discuss about the folders. Like here the Axiom demo is started to create, and for this applications we need some folders like app, assets, node modules, packet.json, app.json. This expo hides native Android and iOS code by default. This makes developer easier. So this was the section and installation of expo site for the React Native, which is the best uh, framework, and for the beginner for a beginner developer you can go with this expo. Now we'll switch back. We will make it as a continuous for the installation. Now I'll discuss about the React Native client. This is the which provides a complete control over the native Android and iOS development, and we have the more advantages in the React Native client than the Expo, as React Native Android have the folder structure for the iOS and the app, both the things. Then we have the better for it is better for the production with the custom native modules. Then we can use the camera, GPS, biometrics, notification, enterprises application in this React native clients. And for creating this React Native project, we have another command. We'll just go one by one till we wait for the instruction of them. It will take some 1 to 2 minutes for the installing. After the installation of Expo app, we'll start to install the app for the React Native client also. Till now, I'll explain about the Android Studio tools. Here we have the plugins which we can use while the development of a mobile. Here we have the you can see there's a Kotlin multi-platform which is available plugin for this Android Studio, which is the most framework and plugin which is using and latest recommendation for the development. Then we have the second is the Flutter. Flutter is also cross-platform plugin which is used for the development Android development for the both cross platforms, and there are the many more. Then we have the new updated plugins also and top requirements, so we can just search and install from this plugin section. Also, then we have the customized section. We have the appearances, like we can set the theme, uh, or we can sync with the operating system. We have the editor color schema as for the Android Studio only. We can change from there. Then we have the language and region section. It is already selected here. Then we have the accessibility, ID, font, and I'm using the Windows, so that's why the key map is selected by default to Windows. Now we'll go back to the project section where we have three cards like new project, open, and clone repository. Just below we have the more actions. As we already discussed about the more actions, we have the SDK tools and SDK virtual device manager. So we need SDK manager and virtual device here. So in the last discussion, we explain about the SDK manager. Now we'll switch to the virtual device manager. I think it is open in, yeah. So this is already open in my background, and for this we have this app is already installed in our virtual manager, where we have the Pixel 8 mobile, and the API is 35, and this is type is virtual. We can click on the start and it will give a demonstration of virtualization, but we need to know about where from it created. So we'll click on the edit. We have this interface where we have the configuration of virtual device. We have to set this virtualization for the Android Studio, which is required. This is the device which I named the Pixel 8, and I have selected the API which installation from the API 35 vanilla ice cream Android 15.0. This is the version, and this is the installation we required. It will take probably 5 to 10 minutes for the installation, as the file of this mobile view, virtual view, it is till 2 GB of data it required for the installation, and the services is from the Google Play Store. This is I already installed here, so that's why I'm showing this. But how we can start this? So we'll, so for that we just have to click on the new project, and here we have the interface for the creating the emulator. This was the total Android Studio as a emulator, where we can create the mobile view, mobile framework, and the image. We have to install the images, and you can see that we have the phone and tablet sections. This is the empty activity, Gemini, and all the things. Also we have the OS sections, televisions, car, etc. This all things is available here, so we can select and create. Now for the virtual device, I will just click on the plus icon, and here I'm having the interface where I will add the device for emulator of Android Studio, right? So this is the interface where we have the all the form factors like phone, tablet, via OS, desktop, TV, automotive, and XR, and this all the devices which is available and we can use. As prior I have show you the Pixel 8 which I installed, so I'll just select another one like Pixel 9. You can select anyone devices like smartphone, medium phone, resizes. Like for the experimental only, you have to just select these devices from here, I will just select the pixel 10 and I will just click on the next. So for this we don't have the image available, so I will go back again and I will select the lower version. Huh. Then we have this compatible configuration for the virtual device. Now we have what we have to do. As a beginner of developer, you have to give the name of this device as we have given the Pixel 7a, and here we have the additional settings which we don't need to update or manually. We just select with the system images over here. You have to select the APIs which we required for the device. Then we have to select the services from here, and here the in the API section we have the multiple APIs which we can select. I'll just click on the show all, so it will give recommendations only which is recommended for this device version. So right now I'm having this 35 and this is installed in my system. Google Play Intel 8664 Atom system image. This image required for these devices which is installed in my system. Otherwise in your system you will have multiple options and you have to install this image for this device, and then only you can start creating the SDK installation. You have to just select this system image and start and next. So it will take time of 5 to 10 minutes for the installation. It probably 2 GB of file it will give for the installation. Right now I am having these things. I'll just click on the finish. So it will create the AVD. AVD is required for the React Native app. So get back to the device manager. Now you can see that two device in the device manager. I'm having the two devices like Pixel 7 and Pixel 8 with the versions of Android 15.0 with the vanilla ice cream, because vanilla ice cream is the version of Android 15 name. So this is available here with the selected API and the virtual mode. By clicking on the play, we can just play this image in animated. And for this, we need the AID. As I already discussed about the emulator hypervision driver. For this activation, you need a virtualization active in your system. So this was the explanation about the Android Studio. Now I'll go back to my VS Code where my installation is still is available. Just one second. For the creating the app, it will take time. I will discuss about some comparison about the expand client React Native till the installation of this. Otherwise, we can start the new installation from the new terminal. This is the folder of Axiom Demo Expo, which is creating and installing their dependencies. Here you can see the app folder where we have the tab sections as already discussed about. But this is from the Expo, and now we check with this React Native client. So it provides the control and React Native Android development. So we have the command which is npx react native. So just take the command in the terminal. So this is the command. Npx react native at the latest. This is different from the expo. In the previous command, we have the React Expo, native and the latest. Right now, we are using the native client, so we have the simple initialization command, which is npx react native at the latest with the initialization folder name. So we'll second demo will change the demo name, and we have to just, as we have already created the project, so we will not install this as we are having the installation started, and it is still in installation process, so we'll not install another app. So this is the command which is I'll just explain about the differences and comparison. As in the ppt you can see about the small differences of theoretical but easy setup. You can see that expo is the easy setup, but for the react native client we need the Android studio. As I explained about this, all the interface, this is required for the react native client. And react native client need full native access for the production ready and react native apks for the creating the apks, and it is complete control of enterprise development. So this is required for the this react native, but and it will give me the is asking the packages to install. Till the installation we'll have the um, basic for the learning the react native, and expo is an excellent choice for the learning, but for the development and production application we need this react native client only, as it gives a better choice to create the app in for the cross platform in the Android studio only. And for that we have the emulator system where we can see the animated devices as a device manager, which is available in uh, for the Android studio. So this is the devices which we required, and for this also we need some command section. We can use that. So I will just give command to check what ABD we required. So this is a terminal command prompt which we have. As an Android studio, it will take time for the installation, the packages and the system. So it's it is loading. We have to wait for the some time. Is both the applications taking time to installation, so we'll just stop here, and we'll explain about the folders which we have. And we have the Axiom Employee Expo which is already installed in our system, so we'll explain about these folders. So here it is. For the production folder structure, we need some to create the folders. As in the prior section is in the expo section, we have the app tab assets, but For the main source folder, we need some source to create the source asset components folder in our applications. We need components folder, navigation services, which is like uh, which is you can see in the source folder. I'm having the source folder with the app component, the constant hooks. This is from the creating of expo, but till we have a client app, React Native client app, where we have the both the bundles of application for the Android folder and the iOS. As this folder is already available in my system, as I already created that to application, because it is taking time to install in the so we have this folder. Now we'll go with the each and every folder which we have. So this is the iOS folder where we have the myapp folder and the myapp.xcode project, which creates the application at the same time for the iOS and the Android. Like you can see the in the Android section we have some another folder structure. These both folder structure are different, but both created in the one application only, and that's why we said this is the cross platform for the development for the mobile app the devices, and we switching the web application to the mobile application. So till we have the project folders as given below. We'll just you brief like in the Android section we have the .gradle folder, then we have the app folder, which is required the source folder, which is for the Java and responses like MIP app, MIP app, MDI, etc. This is the requirement modules which is required for the creating the Android manifested XML, and this is Gradle file which we have all the plugins which required for the production of Android app, and this is by default we get in the React Native app. This is from the Android. In the Android we have the Gradle also. So we explain and discuss about the Android, but till we have the iOS another different folder which is created while the React Native clients, and we'll just open this iOS, and here we have the my app as the same name of my folder structure which is available in the iOS, where we have the myapp.xcode project, which is consists of project.pb scheme, and this is the coding structure and syntaxes for the iOS which we required for the creating the applications and application in the iOS, as we are creating the cross platform. So same coding with the different uh, operating system like Android and iOS. They both have some compatible packages which is creating for the React Native, and that's why the React Native is the uh, development part and the recommended take, take for the developing mobile application for the cross platform. So both the iOS and Android is created in this React Native. Then we have the main source which we created in this app. Here we have the assets folder components which have the header.js file. Then we have the constant where we have the app.js file. This is the dummy file which is created. Then context, hooks, navigations, screens. We have the home screen file. Then we have the style.color.js file where we added some colors for the primary, secondary, background manually. Then we have the utensil folder. These all the files we require for the source. But creating the source applications, we need one main file for the creating and the executing the mobile app, which is the app.js. This is the major and the primary file, and the index.js we have, which is consist of the we can say the application structure of React Native starts onward this both file index.js and the app.js file until we have some packages JSON which we required and installed for the map React Native. For the run Android we selected, also for the iOS we have this commands to execute, and this is all cross-platform packages is installed in this package section. Now we explain about this all the folder structure, hooks, and the installations. Now we can start this app. So we have command like npm run android. So it is started with the React Native run Android. I have selected the Android. That's why I have entered the some command for the Android only. And info, you can see that info launching emulator. My emulator is launching, and I have opened my Metro, which is useful and which is required for this app. And you can see that the Android, for the Android, welcome to the React Native, starting the dev server for this host. And this is the welcome to Metro, fast, scalable, and integrated sections for this emulator. And we are launching this emulator. It will take time to emulate, and this is visible here. These things which is showing here, we can check this in Android Studio as well. If it starts from this section, then only we can see these sections from these Android apps. It's showing that some failed installation for the app. As you can see that some installation is we stop in the installation phase only. I'm giving some small briefing for the installation, because we discuss about the installation what we required for this app, and we discuss about the difference between the Expo and the client app. For the client app, we require some more packages and compatible for the production only. And I give the command to the installation and the running this application for the npm run, and then only we got the emulator. Like you can see this interface, the dev server with this dev server is ready, and key commands available with the rdj like reload app, open dev menu, and the is all. And it's showing that the no app connected till now, because we have to connect the Android Studio with this emulator with the app as well. So till now we discuss about the differences. Now the real development begins in this next page, which where we can where we can create these packages for these apps. So this was the basics requirement for the React Native which we discuss here in this section, and this is requirement. Now we'll switch to the error section. Why the error comes over in our system? Like I'll just share with the some commands. Here you can see that in your screen, like in the Windows system, we have to check with the AESD, which is the required for your Android Studio, which is stopped here. The state is stopped, but we need to check with this in your system. Then only your app Android Studio will be start. Otherwise, we can go with the Expo. For the Expo, we have the Expo Go app. But the for that we have to connect the your laptop or your computer with the mobile app, with the mobile phone. So it will take time. That's why we are explaining about these thing sections. And major part for your Windows, you need to check with this drivers and variables which is available in your system, because for the making the app of Android Studio running in your system, you have to add some variables, system variables. Just like you can see, this is the system properties available in your screen. And here we have the environmental variable sections for the variable for system, because we installed the Android Studio in our system, and which compatible for the development. So this is required. So you can see that there is a variable I have added Android home, with this SDK. In the hope you remember in the last Android SDK file, I have copied some path of Android SDK, which is assigned this value to Android home, like variable name is Android home I given to you, and the variable value we have to add the variable path of the Android installation, whatever the path which is available in your system or created while the installation of Android Studio, that need to be added here. And this is necessary variable, system variable, for the checking and for compatible to make your application runnable in your system. At the same time, I have added this variable, but I need some path need to add. So I'll just click on the edit section. There is a multiple environment variable is available, but you can see in the bottom section I have added three major part, like Android home platform tools, then the second is emulator, and the third was the command line tool latest bit. As discussed in the Android Studio with the SDK manager, I'll just go back to the SDK tool. This all the checkpoints which is available in these sections, it is should be installable in Android Studio, and the same thing, this should be add to your variable system, and then only your application will be accessible to run with both the platform as a emulator and the Android Studio. So this is the variable system I explained, and this is required for the environment of Android Studio to add there. And this, and if you check, this is not installed, so you have to check with this thing, and then you can visible this download button, then you can go with this application to install in your Android Studio, then you can start with your development. Till now we have checked the requirement as we required as of for the development, so we don't need to install again. Now this was the overview and all the things which we discuss here. Now from with that, we have successfully prepared, and we set the development environment for exploring the both Expo and React Native client, as we discussed and check, and we understood the project structure and the set up the professional foundation for the building or application basic installations for all the requirement for the React Native, and how we can create the node, create the application in the Expo and React Native client, then how we can download the Android Studio, how we required for the environment variable for the Android Studio. This all the things we discussed till now. So this was the foundation for the building or application in React Native. Now from here, we will continue. We'll continue to discuss about the guidance for the director sir. With that, I will just ask to director sir to give your feedback and your guidance on these sections. Now over to you, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Team Axiom. You did a fabulous job to explain us how we can able to have a React Native environmental setup and how we can start developing React Native app. Though it's a elementary sort of explorations, right? Certainly, it will help to all entrants how we can able to have a setup of React Native and build the cross-platform app development. To summarize it, uh, let me give you the what we are discussing today. That is how React Native app development, as it is going to provide you the cross-platform app development. It is beneficiary to explore the React web development, but if you want to miss, obviously the requirement is to have a switch to the mobile app development as well. The advantage what we get, that is the code reuse, right? So in case of native, where we have a separate app for iOS and Android, so 0% code is going to share. Here in this case, in case of React Native cross-platform app development, 70 to 90% code can be reused, right? Developmental speed is more. In case of native, it's slow because the two code bases. In case of React Native, it will be certainly the faster. because the one code base will be used in iOS and Android as well. Team size, separate team size required for the iOS and Android here. Like only one team can able to justify the with the JS and React skills can able to develop the cross-platform apps. Cost-wise, obviously two teams, two timelines. Here, one team can able to share the code and do that stuff. So the cost-wise also is more effective. Performance is optimal in case of natives, but here in this case, React in the near native, the bridge overhead is like okay, we are the performance also can be much more higher. And then here, UI consistency requires coordinations. Here, natural same code, same UI, hot reloads. This is limited in case of natives, and here in this case, instant see changes in seconds because one code base is there. Like develop once deploy anywhere, or sort of that kind of abilities we already discussed about. Time to market will take larger time, take a longer time take to market the applications because the developmental time and all the stuff. There is a shorter one. So when to choose React Native? You have a React web team, and they can the platform is developed in React, and then you have an app version, so you can go with the React Native. App is UI driven, not heavy 3D gaming. Like obviously, we if you are developing e-commerce applications, right? So the developmental team who and the technical stack you are using as a Mern and all for the web development, we can certainly recommend to go with the React Native cross-platform app development. You need both iOS and Android, right? Then means cross-platform app if required over there. Why don't you go with the React Native? So these are all uh, the key factors about the React Native, why mobile app development is a key nowadays, and then how we can go ahead with the mobile app development using React Native. Yes, I go ahead.
Uh, yes, sir. Now I'm just sharing my screen again because we discussed about the all the installations and the requirement requirement for the creating the app for the React Native and the Expo. We discuss about all the foundational base, but after that we have some Axiom employee directory and attendance app which is created in the React Native. I just want to show you this thing. So this was the landing page. As a simulation, we are giving the demonstration at the end of this session. So this type of page, we can say the page for the mobile view we are having for the employee login as we created this Axiom employee directory and attendance. Here you have to enter the your email ID and your password, which is working phase, like you can see and visible. Now you can just hit the button on the sign in securely. So it will be having your dashboard of mobile view where I have the good morning, Sushil Kumar, and the today's attendance, all the things. As this was the mobile view from as a attendance of an employee of a company. Then we have some interface like attendance today's attendance with the check-in required. We can click on this button, so it will show the some clock synchronization time, the device zone, and all the things. Also it is showing the Axiom office headquarter located here. We can switch the offsite or Axiom headquarter. Then in the down section we have the camera verification, as we already discussed about the requirement and theoretical in the React Native client section. So this is already visible in your section in your mobile app. So just click on the snap selfie. It will give you a selfie capture and it will show that you are punching. Just click on this. So it will show the successfully checked in. Now as a attendance, employee is checked in with the selfie and the hitting the button on this section. So it will be available for the logout time only for the punch out and exit the ship. Till now we have the some directories of employee directories with the members. We can see the details of theirs. We can go back as this is the same UI which we have the mobile app. Then we can go back to the navigation. We can check the another details from this directory section. Then same we have the profile section of user, which is who is the login in this app. Like the display name, the corporate email of this, the contact extension number, the skill, just button of the profile. We can add it the name with this. We can anything where the user want to update or the details of him from this my profile session, so he can easily do these things, and he can just save profile. So the data will be stored there as it is, which is updated. Then we have the settings section, we have the GPS verification. We can check in or check out if this is the cross check geo preferences from the bounds. And also we have the face ID biometric single sign on, as we can see already see on the check-in section. We have to open the camera and it will fetch your face ID, then you will be visible for the check-in for the system. So that will be, you can check in check out from here. This is the post notification uh, feature is available, or you can enable or disable. And we have the logout session here, and this all the dashboard here. From you can apply for the leave, you can ask for the casual leave, sick leave, paid annual leave, anything on this specific from date to date with the described reason. In the detail section you can enter the detail for the reason, and you have to just click on the submit application. So that thing also for the leaves we added here. So this is the app which is we created on the React Native for the attendance of Axiom employee directory. As the same, this is from check-in for the office to till punch it out. Yeah, you can see that I have completed with this day one, and I'm having the logout. Also we have the notification section where the we had the notification like leave requested, HR office, leave approved, salary credited, security alert. This all the view is available in the mobile view. And after that we have the logout session. So this was the simulation of React Native application we created through the React Native client for the demonstration purpose. So that's all from my side, and thank you.
Hey, it's awesome, guys. Like everyone who contributed to make this event happening. It's a good explorations on the React Native, especially Sahil, Himanshu, Sachin, Harshal, and everyone who contributed to make this event happening. It's so nice, so that like we can have with all the details about the React Native, and I'm expecting in the near future we'll be demonstrating the best app versions for the latest functionalities over there. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
In Axiom Tech Guru, we transform ideas into scalable digital solutions with AI, innovation, and technology that drives real business growth.